featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more. Our low T protocols, applied in conjunction with our body composition plans, will help most men see real improvements, true weight loss, higher energy, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and a renewed sex drive as well. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
Hello, Colorado. This is David Szymanski with U.S. Mortgages, the home of Yes, You're Approved. Have you wanted to purchase a home or refinance one and been told no due to high debt ratios, low credit scores, employment length, or any other options that most banks deny? Well, we've expanded our guidelines to allow no W-2s or tax return options. If you're finding it hard going a traditional route, you might just need an out-of-the-box lender. We can approve with bank statements only, asset depletion, DSCR, DTIs over 50%, and less than perfect credit is okay. Don't let fear or someone else's no stop you from saving money on a home you own or buying one. At U.S. Mortgages, we say yes. No upfront fees and no risk, and our number says it all. 303-LOW-RATE. That's 303-LOW-RATE or online at usmloan.com.
All loans subject to approval and change. Equal housing lender. License 392126.
Try Wendy's new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion with Girl Scout Thin Mint cookie pieces. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's and Girl Scouts of the USA.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports from your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
The Friday edition, we made it to the weekend. Mike Rice, Dante Gomez, Denver Sports Tonight. Dante, how was the week?
It was good. It was good. How about yourself?
Yeah, real good. Real good.
Is it okay to say we made it to the weekend even though we're still...
Oh, Friday night.
No, me and you are still working right now?
Okay, well, yeah, but it's not all about us.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It's a good point. You know what? I like that perspective.
There
I take it back.
So, yes, you know what? And we're close enough. You and I, personally, are close enough to the weekend. What are we, about an hour away or so? You have a little longer than that?
Yeah, like an hour and a half.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not too far away myself, I guess.
Yeah, I've got dinner with little man and the better half. I keep calling him little man. Can you call your 13-year-old little man still if he's your younger son?
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think he's a little man forever.
Forever. Thank you. Okay, I was just looking for
until maybe he gets to be taller than his older brother.
Yeah, well,
I don't know
brothers,
if you guys are going to run into that.
I don't know if older brother has been in here anytime recently, but older brother's like, I think he crept past Dad. I think he crept.
He passed you.
I think he passed me. Just by he will maintain that, of course, and I think I got to give it to him. I mean,
you guys playing any games like one-on-one basketball anytime recently?
No, not recently.
Would he?
He's got a sprained ankle.
Okay, would he beat you though, or
no? Oh,
you still have him in that?
I'm not a very good basketball player, but I would beat him in horse for sure. For sure, I'd school him. I remember when he was younger, dude. We'd go to the rec center. I schooled him every single time. It frustrated him. And I couldn't bring myself to lose to him.
No, I think that's fair. I'm going to be honest, Mike. I don't want to take shots at a high schooler. It's a little embarrassing that he can't beat you. You're not exactly the most young or spry guy here.
He could beat me. He could. He's a decent shooter.
Okay.
And when he gets going from the outside, he's decent.
Okay.
But I won't give him. I'm terrible. So decent is like a major upgrade. You know, every now and then, Dante, a story comes along, and it just captivates me for whatever the reason. There's different angles to it. There's different layers to it. There's different everything to it. And there was one of those this week. I think of one of the last ones that really captivated me and I'm talking for a period of time, was the Mikko Rantanen trade. I remember you and I were on the air. That trade came down. And it was like, what? And then all of the different discussion and and then what happened to Mikko after that when he got traded from Carolina to Dallas, and sort of a rehash then of the Avalanche trade. I just loved that story. I still love talking about the story. I still love going back and forth with people who have a different opinion than I have. And there was one this week, and if you guys want to weigh in, you can on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, and that's the Calvin Booth appearance on the Kevin O'Connor podcast of Yahoo Sports. We'll play some of the audio. I guess we start with, for a guy who is trying to put himself back out there and get back into NBA circles, he revealed his true colors, which to me are not at all appealing if you're someone hiring for an NBA executive position. How did you see it?
The same way. He came off to me arrogant and delusional, full of himself, any synonym of what I just said. The list goes on and on. Self-unaware, or is that how you would say that?
I guess so, yeah.
Because self-awareness, but the opposite of that.
What's the opposite? Self-unawareness.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
All the
Oblivious,
above.
maybe?
Oblivious, just the lack of awareness of how important he was to what was going on here, taking victory laps on being able to sign Jokic and Murray to extensions, where it's really just, hey, this is the most amount of money we can pay you. Please sign this document. There's not really a lot of Calvin Booth big brain work going on there. It's pretty cut and dry how simple that was. I just think he came off, in one word, delusional.
Yeah. So he told Kevin O'Connor that he should be in the NBA right now.
Maybe somebody's on me. I don't know about out there, but like I'm just saying, I don't. My door wasn't knocking down with people waiting to hire me. And I felt like, again, that's where this whole thing got blown out of proportion. If you just look like tangibly what I did, what my win percentage was, what I drafted, working with a coach like Coach Malone as a first-time GM, like I just don't know how my door isn't.
I mean, I wanna root for the guy.
He makes it difficult.
He makes it impossible, Dante. How do you go on a podcast, a national podcast, and say I don't understand how my door isn't being knocked down? I mean, that's not just I don't understand how I don't have a job. That's like people should be clamoring to hire me.
Yeah, somehow the other 29 teams are all going crazy because they're not hiring you, Calvin Booth. They all have it wrong, and you're on the side of, I don't get how they're not all coming, knocking at my door to hire me.
So here's another piece. When I keep hearing these clips, I keep hearing new things, which is also why this story just fascinates me. And I just heard it, and I had not picked this up, and I've heard this clip like 2 or 3 times this week. That exact one we just played. When he says working with a coach like Coach Malone, like that to me is a dig, or could be. Like he's difficult to work with. He wants it his way, and he's not gonna work with a first-time GM like me. I mean, in other words, I hadn't really heard that in a negative sense, but given the context of the entirety of the Booth attitude we got and the Booth point of view, I think it was, or at least it very well could be.
I think it could have been, but in general, he was pretty complimentary of Michael Malone throughout this interview, and he kept saying the same phrase, we don't need to do an autopsy on it. He kind of seemed to brush over the whole Malone and Booth beef, and he called it overblown multiple times as well. So he kind of did try to minimize it, and maybe that was to his advantage as well. But I will say I think he took the high road for a lot of opportunities he could have taken digs at Malone. So I would be surprised if that was an attempt to take a dig at him.
Yeah, I get that, and I understand that. But at the same time, all of this, the ironic part is when he says, yeah, we don't need to do an autopsy now, it's like, well, I want the autopsy. I kind of not thought about it as much. It was like, okay, they obviously had a conflict. Now there's a part of me that's like, well, yeah, Coach Malone, when are you going to give your side? Because I'd really like to hear that. Calvin Booth, I mean, there were several, but this was another beaut. It's a little bit longer, but he did talk about making sure that his vision for the Nuggets was something that he stuck with.
There's no way you're not winning when you're not aligned. But what is alignment like in the scenario that I talk about with that, when you think about that paradox, just that general paradox about how head coaches, they're the only people in the world that have that kind of authority that those kind of people listen to that have to like maybe report to some, quote unquote, report to somebody. And that wasn't Coach Malone's relationship. So when I get that title, it's not an option for me not to do my job, right? I'm going to do my job. So I think one of the only outcomes where everybody thinks we're aligned is me submit, lay down, not do the job, and that's not an option for me. So some version of this was when it happened. Could have been quieter, could have not thrown legs with the media, could have not been such a crawl in ownership's pants. Like maybe there's some different things that could happen in that regard.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's annoying. If you're owner of a team and you're hearing about a conflict between, you know, your head coach and your GM, however real or however blown out of proportion it is, like, you know, that's not, they have 7 other sports teams to run, like, right? You know,
I mean, the way I look at it though, Calvin, is it's not often that a GM and a coach get fired on the same day. Like, was it really blown out of proportion when that just never happens?
I don't know. I have a hard time processing that question. I don't even really know what it means.
That's stunning. That's the core of the issue. That's one of the cores of the issue. He's asked, was it blown out of proportion? I mean, look at what happened. 3 games left in the regular season. You've got the best player in the world, and you're in a championship window, and you, as the GM and your coach, get blown out because you can't get along, in essence, and you can't process the question of, did it get blown out? Did it? How could you say it got blown out of proportion? I mean, that you talk about lack of self-awareness. That defines it, Dante.
Yeah, for him to gloss over that, oh, it was overblown. That's just something that doesn't happen. And I'm happy Kevin O'Connor pointed that out in the interview, saying that that's something we don't see very often, especially when we're talking about a team that's going to the playoffs, a team that has the best player in the world. You just wasted a season of Jokic's prime, of a Nuggets window, a championship window here, and he's trying to say, oh, no, it was nothing. It was fine.
Here's the other side of it, which is Booth comes off as so, I mean, inflexible would be a massive understatement. He comes across as completely dogmatic and stuck in his ways. He said in that cut, the only way that we're in alignment is if I submit and I lay down and Coach Malone gets his way. Are you serious? I mean, do you have any sense of like working together and finding the common ground and having a vision and saying, okay, coach, yeah, okay, this guy, I could see that with this guy, but this guy over here, we need a younger player. We need to, there's none of that. He is doing what he's accusing Coach Malone of doing, which is saying like, hey, he's saying, Coach Malone, it's Coach Malone's way or the highway, or people aren't going to see me in alignment. But by saying that, he's acting as if, well, hey, I'm going to do my job, and my job is my vision, and Coach Malone be darned.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm happy you pointed that out, that there was no option of compromise. There was no, it was, for me to do my job the way I want to do my job, it's going to go directly against what Michael Malone wants, or vice versa. For Michael Malone to do his job, it's going to go completely against what I want to do and my vision for this team. So I think that also came off poorly on his end, but go ahead.
No, finish.
Yeah, I just think that there's hundreds, dozens at least, of sports franchises around the world that have a very similar system of the head coach doesn't report to the GM doesn't report to the head coach. You guys each do your jobs, and you report to a president of whatever or the owner of fill in the blank sports franchise, and for him to say, well, we just both couldn't do our jobs. It was one of us was going to have to lie down and submit. There's just no way that's what's going on in all these other sports franchises. There has to be some sort of compromise working together, and these two just weren't able to do it.
Again, stunning is a word I keep coming back to. If you're a team president or an owner or someone who would be above the GM and the head coach, and you hear Calvin Booth say, yeah, well, I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to lay down and let Coach Malone run me over, and that's the only way. I mean, if I'm a team president, I'm going, okay, so if an issue comes up that I have a different view on than my general manager, and I hear my general manager and see him showing that kind of approach and that kind of attitude, you think he's going to listen to me? You think he's going to want to work with me and kind of give me his side and then hear my side? And I'm telling you, Dante, it's stunning. It's absolutely, and part of me, the thing that, or at least one of the items that fascinates me about this story is how could you be so obtuse? How could you not see this kind of stuff? I mean, because theoretically, Calvin Booth went on this podcast to deliver the message to the basketball world that he's qualified to be running your team, building your roster, being involved in the daily decisions of basketball operations, and the effect is the exact opposite. And then of course there was this one.
I think I just made it look too easy.
What do you mean by that? A little too easy.
All right, so you're a podcaster, journalist, anybody that has that's really good at something, when they make it look easy, that was really, really hard to get to. Like I said at the beginning of the conversation, it's a lifetime's worth of playing basketball, being coaching basketball, having conversations, scouting, doing whatever. For me to make it like, go in there right away, assemble a championship team, win a championship, and that's the part that, like, I'll separate that for a second. I'll finish with the last and final thing. I think when you take the Joker thing, the head coach paradox, the ownership and their precedence, and hey, look, they have a formula that works. Championships in hockey, basketball, football. Arsenal will probably get one soon. So, I mean, and it's their prerogative to operate that way. And I think it's the right call. I'll probably disagree with their take upon executives, especially in this world, but like, who am I? They've been so successful, right? Like, so maybe it's the right way to operate. But I'll say that you encompass all that in some media manipulation, and then all of a sudden, like, somehow, some way, I'm not running an NBA team right now.
It's always when you pull the media manipulation card, I'm still trying to figure out that one, but one of the most egregious thoughts and this was his phrase, when you assemble a championship team. Come on, Calvin. Some of us were here too. We weren't in the organization, but we saw the moves were made, what moves were made, and who was your boss for part of your tenure as GM. Dante, it's stunning.
No, that was the money quote there. I made it look too easy. I can't believe those words came out of his mouth as to a reason why he got fired from his job. I made it look too easy. That's one of those where your buddy gets fired from his job and he says that, and it's like, oh my god,
I was too good.
Yeah.
I was too good,
like,
man.
What do you mean, dude? You were too good. You made it look too easy. It's just, oh my goodness. I don't get how those words come out of your mouth and you mean it and you're in earnest, and that's just again, that it just circles back to delusional and what you thought your part was in terms of quote unquote assembling a championship team. I just don't get how you could have that train of thought.
I will say, as I've listened and considered all this week, I haven't, and I want to just mention this angle, because when you have two employees that are like this, and clearly there was a deep cut between Booth and Malone. I think we all knew that at some level that existed, and we got glimpses of it when we heard the stories and the reporting about, it got to the point before they got fired where you were either a Booth guy or a Malone guy, those kind of things. But, and I have said, and I said at the time, that I really do think Josh Kroenke comes across pretty well, generally speaking. But hearing Calvin Booth on this podcast led me to think, man, there was a complete disconnect between Josh and what was going on. Yes. Absolutely deeper than I thought I could have imagined, given that he's a basketball guy. If there's any team that's kind of, air quotes, his baby, it's likely the Nuggets. And, oh, by the way, you're in a championship window, so let's really have a pulse on what's going on. None of that went on. At least that's what I draw from a lot of these comments.
I completely agree. And this might be a little too far, but I don't think it's that far off base. I'm surprised Calvin Booth had the job as long as he did.
Oh, my goodness.
Talking the way he does.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that this didn't boil over earlier in that building, of him thinking he deserves all the credit for this championship and him thinking that highly of himself. I'm surprised that he, one, was able to get that job, and two, able to hold it as long as he did.
Yeah, at the risk of sort of like going a little bit too far. That's
what I'm saying. It might be a little too far with what I'm saying.
No, I hear you.
Because he did make some good moves.
He did.
But
he did.
The way that he talks about himself, if I was in the building, that would drive me crazy.
But think of this too, and I was gonna bring it to potentially a step beyond what might have been realistic. And I'm not giving Malone a pass either. I mean, clearly there was conflict. We haven't heard from Michael Malone. He's got a side, and I don't know that we'll ever hear that side. But, towards the end, we heard Michael Malone get pretty frustrated in post-game press conferences, pretty pointed when he called out his guys. Many times it was deserved based on the effort. But I wonder, this is just something I wonder. And could it be that, given the nature of what was going on, given the nature of what Calvin Booth must have been like to work, air quotes, with, because they really weren't working with each other, I mean, could it have just been Malone so sick of the entire dynamic, the whole situation, that it spilled over to press conferences? It spilled over when the frustration from a bad loss built. It just added to the whole mountain of garbage that he felt like he was dealing with. I think there's an element of truth that could very well have been into play with that. And we got someone on the RamosLaw.com text line from the 0558 saying, listening to Booth talk makes me cut Malone slack. That guy is delusional. And it does me too. Michael Malone doesn't have to tell his side of the story. Calvin Booth is doing a good job burying himself.
That's a great point. And obviously this is not in reality here. Would the Nuggets be better off with Michael Malone still as their head coach? And is there a chance he still is the head coach if we all saw this side of Calvin Booth prior to them both getting fired on the same day?
Yeah, and it makes me think back to Josh Kroenke's explanation of it got untenable between the two, and they were both, responsible, and those kind of things. I don't know. I mean, let me put it this way. If I had to choose between the two, you take Malone all day, every day. I'm not saying Michael Malone was perfect. Not saying he was the perfect coach. I mean, Dante, this is beyond the pale. It's just stunning. I
feel a little bad because there were some good moves that Calvin Booth did make. I don't want to make it sound like it was 100% a terrible tenure as the GM, and every single move he made just ruined the franchise. No. There was plenty of moves that
he brought KCP in and Bruce Brown in.
Yes.
And Christian Brown was his guy. And
Payton Watson was his guy.
But again, and I love what you and Jake were talking about, Jake Shapiro of DenverSports.com, and Jake's piece back from April of last year, the 5 brutal moves Calvin Booth made that resulted in Nuggets firing him, was I think, it's really interesting to go back, and I know you guys talked about that piece earlier in the week, but the fact of the matter is they needed the 2026 Payton Watson back then. They didn't need rookie Payton Watson back then. So to me, Booth gets credit, but at the same time, it's like that's not the guy they needed at the time. They needed, say, Tim Hardaway Jr. or Jonas Valanciunas, or some of the veterans that they got this past offseason.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to be unfair to Calvin Booth because we just outlined a couple of the moves he made there that were positives for this team. But I would say for pretty much every positive move he made a negative move as well. So, and the quote about we're not looking to go back to back, I thought that was a mistake too, and obviously that played out in terms of his draft picks by what you just pointed out, taking Payton Watson when he was more of a project. He was going to take 3 years to be a true contributor to this team versus when they needed immediate impact. So it's just one of those where I just can't believe the words that Calvin Booth was saying in this interview. But I don't want to completely bury the guy, but it just wasn't a good look.
Well, I don't want to bury anybody. I think he's doing it to himself. I mean, it's really hard for me to listen to these comments, and I know there is a side of that Malone played, a part Malone played, and a side and a story that he has to tell, of course. But right now we react to what we hear, and we try and piece things together. And I can't imagine. I get a glimpse now of the size of relief that must have been coming from Ball Arena after the moves were made, and it also gives me a little bit of insight into one reason why David Adelman's personality they saw as such a fit, because he's not that type of guy. He's
you
not
go from a GM with a massive ego. Clearly, you go with a head coach that Michael Maloney's won a championship, but I think it's fair to say he has a slightly enlarged ego. To David Adelman, who seems like the total team guy. Get along with everybody, have everybody else get along within the locker room as well. So it does make sense that they went in the direction that they did.
On the RamosLaw.com text line from the 9345, hard to ignore the Booth draft picks looking good now that they've actually got some playing time. It's hard to ignore, but he gave picks away too, like you and I are buying candy bars.
Oh, he gave away second-round picks like it was nothing.
6 of them, and Jake outlined that. I mean,
there was I don't know if you remember this, the Suns trade where they traded up a couple slots and he negotiated against himself. The Suns were ready to agree to the trade, and then Booth calls back being like, all right, I'll actually throw you an extra second-round pick in there.
Yeah, again, I'll give Booth credit because there's an eye for talent he had and saw something in Payton Watson, and we're starting to see that come to fruition. And the injuries this year played a part in Watson getting more minutes and taking advantage of the opportunity. But again, at the time, when you are in a championship window, you don't have a Christian Brown, who turned out to be a contributor on that championship team, and then a project, and then a Hunter Tyson, and you've got, as Jake outlined on DenverSports.com, at the time, you have several rookies who didn't play, win the titles. You want to pat yourself on the back for assembling a championship team. How about assembling a team that is going to keep the window open longer than Booth's efforts produced? That's where I go on that. Nuggets at OKC tonight. No word officially yet on Jamal Murray. If we get one before we are done at 7, we will pass that along. The Broncos just might have one of their defensive stalwarts back. That's next.
After another underwhelming season from the tight end room,
should the Broncos bring in another dynamic playmaker?
Cade Otton is a guy that I really like, that I really think can play, and that I think would be one of those guys that provides duality for you as an offense, something that you really haven't had. He's a threat in the passing game, but like I said, willing participant when it comes to blocking.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to A to Z Savings, our biggest sale of the year.
Happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with Duralast rotors.
Free? Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free? Really?
Really? Free. It's part of A to Z Savings with hundreds of deals.
From A to free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ends March 9th. Restrictions apply.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing.
Mom, how do you feel?
I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
So, you're ready to propose, huh?
Yeah, man. She's definitely the one.
What are we thinking about the ring? I got my wife's at Helzberg. I couldn't recommend a better jeweler.
I could use some help with that.
Man, go to Helzberg. I had no idea how many details you need to consider. Did you know you can get a natural or lab-grown diamond? I didn't. Figure out what she wants. Trust me, they'll make it happen.
Start your story with Helzberg. Shop in store or at Helzberg.com.
For many of us, it's happened before. Your hair is thinning, crowns disappearing. Maybe the hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. The solution that worked for me, it's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment that starts growing your own natural hair the very next day. And it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's the Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if you want your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Paul's, it's not maybe your hair will regrow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, 2-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health.
This February, save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Mike and Dante, Denver Sports Tonight. 303-713-1043 on the RamosLaw.com text line. One other text that I wanted to get to on the Calvin Booth comments from the 3657. Don't you think that Booth has become the new Russell Wilson? All I know is this, Dante. Both were pretty hard to take. Russell, not so much in the moment, but
no, in the moment, Russell was pretty.
Well, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah,
as someone that had to cut up all his press conferences, and he didn't say a dang thing throughout any of the press conferences.
That's right.
It was just cliche after cliche. It was pretty delusional as well, I would say.
Yeah, I think though Russell meant kind of well. He just didn't come across that well. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him too much benefit of the doubt.
No, I think that's fair. Maybe less of an ego, less of an ego, but still delusional.
Yeah, just over the top, and Booth just over the top ego, and I mean, it's crazy. I just cannot understand how he doesn't understand how he's coming across. But I suppose that's what ego does. I don't know. At least I'd like to think I don't know. Maybe I do know. 303-713-1043. The Broncos at the Combine with the rest of the NFL. And we know that, I mean, the talking is basically done now. It's about the players this weekend and some of the high-profile players. The quarterbacks will get out there and whatnot. Or some of the quarterbacks will. And the Broncos put a second-round tender on defensive back Jaquan McMillan. So he will earn, $5.8 million. And if somebody gives him a contract, the Broncos can match, or they could let him go and get a second-round draft pick from that team. So, Dante, first off, are you glad the Broncos put the tender on Jaquan?
I think it was a good move from the Broncos' perspective, absolutely. If I'm Jaquan, I'm probably not too excited that it was placed on me. I think it hurts your ability to go earn elsewhere because obviously teams aren't going to willy-nilly get rid of a second-round pick for that. So I think if I'm him, I wouldn't be terribly excited about it unless it leads to a long-term extension, something like that, where he's in Denver for a while. I think that could be an upside win-win for Broncos and Jaquan McMillan. But I think it was absolutely the right move from the Broncos' point of view. The way he played last year, it feels like it would be a major mistake to let him walk out the door, at least for nothing. If he does walk out the door, he gets a big payday. At least you're getting that second-round pick in return. But to let him walk for nothing, I think would have been a mistake.
At what point, if you're the Broncos, does it get too expensive to keep Jaquan, or does it get too expensive to keep him? And at what point does that cause the Broncos to go, if another team comes calling with a deal, cause them to sort of, Payton and company go, that second-round pick looks pretty good for that price. Where do you think that line is drawn? Or do you believe the Broncos are that committed to bringing Jaquan McMillan back and keeping him a part of this defense and keeping him a part of what they, again, hope is a run to and through the Super Bowl?
No, I think there's definitely a scenario in which they let him go for that second-round pick. But it's kind of a win-win. If you're the Denver Broncos, you either get Jaquan McMillan on a $5 million contract or you get a second-round pick. And to me, it depends what their plans are with Riley Moss and Jahdae Barron. I think that's the bigger question because Jaquan at this point feels like a pretty well-known commodity of what you're going to get from him. The Riley Moss and Jahdae Barron, I think, is the bigger question of what do they want to do with those guys? Are they going to try to trade Riley Moss? Do they want Jahdae to go out wide and take Riley Moss's spot? Then you can keep McMillan inside. I think that could be a really good option. Or if they truly believe in Jahdae Barron, that he's capable of taking the next step and being an every down player at that nickel position, then I think you happily take the second-round pick if it gets to a number that's too big. I don't have an exact number in my head for the Broncos, but I think it's more about what their plans are with those other two guys than anything Jaquan McMillan can do. I think they know what Jaquan is, and he's a great plan, or maybe backup plan, if that's, or maybe he is the plan. And the other aspect of it is trading one of those other two guys. So I think it's a win-win for where the Broncos are at.
I completely agree that it's a win-win. There's no doubt. I do think too that the Broncos obviously have their plan that they want to try and execute in free agency and the accompanying dollars that's going to cost. And then they also have, at least by position, and if not right now, very soon by guy who they're targeting in the draft, where, what position, that kind of thing. And so I think they probably have a general framework of, okay, if Jaquan gets offered a deal in this ballpark, we can do that. If he gets it in that ballpark, that's going to be too much, and we already have a plan B that we can turn to.
Do you think there's any scenario where all three of those guys are back, where it's Barron, McMillan, and Moss?
Absolutely.
Oh, you do think that could happen?
Yeah. In fact, I'm thinking.
Would you expect that?
Well, I mean, would you offer the tender if you really didn't want that? I mean, because now you're going to keep Jaquan if nobody comes and offers him a deal. That's a done deal.
I think that's fair, but then maybe you flip Moss on the other side.
Yeah, but then but Jaquan's not an outside guy.
No, you stick Barron outside.
I know, but to me, if I'm the Broncos, I'm saying, okay, I like that guy, but am I ready for that when we're this close to getting, when we're a quarterback injury away from getting to the Super Bowl? I am not personally willing to take that risk. I'm not sure the Broncos feel Barron is that level ready at this point. Do you?
I think that's fair. I hope they do. You drafted him in the first round. He was the second cornerback taken. He was the best cornerback in college football the year before. And technically, you could probably say he was the first cornerback taken because the only other one ahead of him was Travis Hunter, who's a super utility guy at this point. So you take the best corner in the draft. I would hope he's ready to play by year 2.
Well, but guys take different times to develop too. Just because he's a first-round pick doesn't mean he's going to be, as you just said, ready to. We all thought he'd be ready to go year 1.
Oh, well, that's why I think it's very important that he's ready to go by year 2. If the expectation was year 1 to make an impact, I think at the latest it needs to be year 2 you're making an impact.
I know, but you got to be careful about giving up on a guy like that too early. And when you can keep Riley on the outside, again, not a perfect player, but there's certainly room for improvement. And we saw Riley Moss get better down the stretch and cut down on those DPI
to me, it's
penalties.
not an indictment on Riley Moss
No.
at all. I think Riley's a serviceable cornerback too, but he's going to be looking for a payday here soon. So I think there's some decisions to be made there with how much do you like Riley Moss? Are you willing to give him a real second NFL contract here, or do you just like him because he's on his rookie contract at the moment?
But my point is they don't have to make that decision today. And they don't have to make that decision before the start of the season unless somebody comes and says, hey, here's what we're going to offer. And they go, man, we can't pass that up. But that's why I fully expect all three to be in uniform starting the season with the Broncos. That's what I would expect, unless there's an offer that they can't refuse. And I don't think you're going to get that offer for Jaquan because he's not an outside corner at this point. Might he be able to jump into that role like he jumped in and forced his way onto the field by doing things we hadn't seen this past year? Absolutely, maybe. But you can't count on that. You have Riley Moss out there who's proven to be, I think Riley's serviceable plus. I think serviceable is a little bit low of a level down from where I see Riley Moss. So I think you want to have that depth and you want to bring Barron along. I think, look, nobody thought Troy Franklin was going to amount to much.
Whoa, Mike. Somebody did.
Okay, one person after his first training camp. Come on,
that's fair. That's
fair.
The
general, not everybody. Okay, you.
I called my shot on Troy Franklin.
You did.
You were sitting right next to me.
Yes, you did. Many people, including me, thought, okay, this could be a miss, and yet he's coming along. At some point, every guy who's picked high in the draft doesn't develop on the timeline of microwave 30 seconds.
Microwave? I'm talking about year 2 here, Mike. If he doesn't get on the field in a meaningful way in year 2, I might be ready to put the bust label on Jahdae Barron.
Okay, but
and I get that you can swing and miss on a first-round pick.
He doesn't get on the field.
Well, I think if you bring back Moss, McMillan, and obviously Pat Surtain's a staple on the other side, I think if you bring back Moss and McMillan, I don't see where Jahdae Barron's going to get on the field. He wasn't able to do it this year.
There's a GM in town that's a good problem to have, right? George, you're rolling your eyes at me, Dante. No, I mean, you make a good point, of course. But are you ready to say Jahdae Barron won't be a good player?
No, I'm not. But
Okay.
I would like to see him on the field in either sink or swim in year 2.
If that's the case, I'm assuming you want Riley Moll. You want all 3 guys here when the season starts. If you're not sure about Barron.
I don't. I need to sink or swim with Barron.
Okay, so you got to explain this
If
to
I
me.
was George Payton, I'm trading Riley Moss. I'm putting McMillan at the inside. And I'm putting Barron outside. And if Barron proves that he can't handle it, then at least we know we need to address corner going into the following season, and he's not the solution.
So you're going to trade the guy that you know can handle it out there for a complete unknown in Barron?
Yes, you're the one that he's not an unknown when you drafted him in the first round.
Well, but
and
he's an unknown in terms of his development in the NFL. It's
he
not
played an
college.
entire season in the NFL already, Mike. At some point, it's time to go out there and prove what you can do.
Okay, but
I don't want to go into year 3 and have Jahdae Barron still be a question mark. I need to either know if he's good or not good at that point.
If you have the depth, why not? Why not? Because this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna sell the crystal at the pawn shop. That's what you're going to say.
No,
here.
I want the
Pawn
crystal on
Stars,
display, Mike.
Pawn Stars, take my crystal because
I want it on
tarnished.
display. I want to know if it's actually crystal or if it's some fake stuff that you bought at, whatever. So I want to know if it's really crystal, and the only way to do that is to put it on display.
They had to put the tender on Jaquan. They had to. They had to bring him back, given some of the unknowns on Barron. Absolutely did. No question. The quarterbacks take center stage at the Combine, and a well-known college guy is showing off his mouth as much as he'll show off his arm. That's next on Denver Sports Tonight.
The champ! Are you ready?
Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at denversports.com/superfan. That's denversports.com/superfan.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. National Western Complex. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. National Western Complex. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. National Western Complex. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. National Western Complex. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Deep, deep discounts. National Western Complex. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. National Western Complex. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. National Western Complex. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs may change, kids will grow, new memes will come out, but what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need them the most, that finds and fixes any issue before you even notice them. It's like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices will be working with perfect harmony, and you get our best equipment with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kids grow up and you still don't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and most importantly, the price will stay put. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi, all with Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text ROAD to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text ROAD to 323232 right now. Text ROAD to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's ROAD to 323232. Text ROAD to 323232 now.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Dan Jacobs of 303 Law 4040 and Jacobs Law with another cool story to share. James called 303 Law 4040, and he's like a lot of our clients, not looking to get rich, but he just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of medical bills. So we met with James like we do all of our 303 Law 4040 clients in person, and it's a good thing we did because we noticed James did not look so good. We sent him to the hospital to get checked out, and they did wind up admitting him. In the end, we got him feeling better and $125,000. He was over the moon. He came into the office to pick up his check and rang that victory bell. And the really cool part is James surprised us with a check of his own, a donation so we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303 Law 4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303 Law 4040.
Follow us on X at DEN Sports 1043 for up-to-the-minute information and opinions on all things Denver sports. Also, we can still call it Twitter, right? Denver Sports 1043 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 1043 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Mike Rice, Dante Gomez wrapping up a Friday edition of Denver Sports Tonight.
Are you a fan of Vanderbilt QB Diego Pavia, Dante? Is his...
how would you define fan?
Do you like his whole persona to go along with what he does on the football field?
I think it was great for college football. I don't think it's what you want to be going into the NFL.
Well, at the Combine, he said he's a product of the media generating what he described as clickbait. And he says, quote, "I feel like a lot of teams love the tenacity, the fight, the life of an underdog, that's for sure, and so they ask questions. But you go back, you look at my record, ain't nothing on my record. I just want everyone to know what's true about me is I'm humble, and I get my confidence from my process. And if you saw how much I put into this, you would see where I get my confidence." Remember, this is the young man who, after Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman, did the, expletive Indiana and did not have any kind things to say about Indiana. Now, I get the emotion of sports, I do, but at what point, Dante, is it just too much? I don't even want to say personality, too much noise around a guy, especially at that position, because we know the quarterback position is different than all the others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just depends on the value you bring to the team, because obviously we've had guys that are a little more outspoken, guys that are not as outspoken, and to me it comes down to are the results you're putting on the field greater than the distraction that you're causing? So again, I don't think he translates to a great NFL quarterback. I'm a little worried about him at the next level. I think he had a great college career, and I'm really happy he was able to do what he was able to do, be a Heisman finalist. I think it was a great story there, but I don't necessarily think his skills translate to the NFL, and I think his best days of football are probably behind him at this point.
So he's going to be sort of the clipboard holder over time.
I think clipboard holder if he's lucky. I mean,
really?
That may be mean or come off a certain way, but I would put his NFL career, if you gave me 5.5 years, I'd probably take the under.
I don't think it serves guys any good to talk about how confident you are. I think you just go be confident and let the way you conduct yourself, the way you handle your business, the way you go about your process speak to your confidence.
Yeah, let the results show.
Thank you. On that note, Dante.
Well, I want to hear do you think he'll be in the NFL for longer than 5.5 years?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Well, it's a long shot. I mean, I think he's got work to do to make it that long.
I also don't think you want your backup quarterback being a distraction and creating a lot of noise. I think that's part of it. You want your backup quarterback to be almost anonymous.
Yes, and I don't think Diego Pavia has any desire to be anonymous.
No, that's why I think it'll be under.
Good stuff, Dante. Enjoy the weekend.
You as well. Fun show.
Yeah, it really was. Thanks to you guys for listening and joining us on the RamosLaw.com text line. For Dante Gomez, I'm Mike Rice. We'll talk to you Monday on Denver Sports Tonight.